to Ambassador Pieris, and then we'll try Bangladesh. Actually, no, Bangladesh won't be available. So let's go to Sri Lanka, and then I'll turn the floor to Volker. You have the floor, Ambassador.
Thank you, Chair and Under Secretary General. I thank the Secretariat for convening this very important consultation on the Secretary General's draft action agenda on internal displacement. It has been our experience, Chair, that this problem is often interwoven with conflict, an unfortunate byproduct we have resigned ourselves to accept when considering the conflict that occurs within a border. The power dynamics, in our experience, that forms society constantly evolves. Conflict that was fueled by ideological and political factors have receded, and ideological confrontation based on religion and ethnicity has become more of a divisive factor. Additionally, I think it is important to consider climate change, which acts as a threat multiplier to internal displacement. We have firsthand seen the increase of climate change refugees from the start of the decade. What I'm trying to observe is that internal displacement should no longer be relegated as a risk to developing nations, that it is a potentiality we must truly account for as a global community. I appreciate the long-term focus that threads the policy recommendations, UN commitments, and analysis of the draft action agenda on discussion today. The question we must ask ourselves, in our view, as we commit to the work of this agenda, is what happens to those left behind when the fighting stops, when the separation ceases, in the aftermath of a natural disaster. What do those left behind need? What do they value? What basic protections guarantee the dignity, rights, and liberty of the displaced persons? Excellencies, as you may be aware, we in Sri Lanka faced nearly a 3-decade conflict. At the juncture of our transition to peace, Sri Lanka had nearly 1 million internally displaced persons, all of whom have been resettled at this point in time. The basic tenets that guided the work of the government at that time in its resettlement and rehabilitation policies was upholding the rights and dignities of the IDPs and to ensure long-lasting, durable reintegration. Specificity was key. Specific policies that accounted for the exact losses and exact concerns of the IDPs was at the center of the solution-making process. The key to a successful, humane, and inclusive resettlement occurs at 2 junctures, in our view: the immediate aftermath of the crisis and in the creation of reintegration policies. The government of Sri Lanka established at that time a special ministry for rehabilitation and resettlement. This is one thing that we can impart, and a national policy on durable solutions for displaced and persons affected by the conflict was developed. The policy guaranteed long-term durable rights of the displaced and aimed to promote measures to address their immediate, medium, and long-term protection. Concerns and assistance in community relocation was preferred to ensure IDPs had the support of their community and were reintegrated in a familiar environment. The rationale was to reduce the shock and trauma faced by the IDPs, which has been an overall success. In reviewing the Secretary General's action agenda outlined principles, I appreciate the laudable initiative and commitment. A particular consideration I appreciate in today's climate was the whole of society approach noted by the SG. As most nations are overcoming the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a lack of resources, both financial and human resources. There is always an equally critical opportunity cost for every policy decision. It is with this in mind that I fully echo the need for more international financial institutions to set up in aiding solutions to internal displacement and to create systemized humanitarian aid as part of its development finance. I further appreciate the sentiment in the draft agenda to incorporate all stakeholders in the rebuilding process. It is absolutely pivotal, we say, to a successful reintegration of IDPs to be aware of both the IDPs' needs and the community of reintegration's concerns. I would like to remind ourselves that although stakeholder participation at both national and international level is vital, we must be mindful that stakeholders be brought to the discussion have also other agendas. I wish this whole initiative great success and be assured that Sri Lanka will give its complete and full support to this agenda. I thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. We're going to pause.